Would you believe me if I told you there were only 3 things that you needed to get control of your drinking? And no, I'm not talking about AA, willpower, or therapy. I'm actually talking about a garden, Mount Everest, and the tragic loss of my grandfather. Now, I know that sounds weird, but in this video, I'm going to be explaining how these 3 seemingly unconnected things actually hold the key to stopping drinking. Not only do they hold the key, but they'll actually make the entire process enjoyable, effortless, and you'll still be able to socialize without a drink. Not only that, but by the end of this video, sure, you're going to leave motivated and inspired, but by the end of the video, you will have a clear, actionable game plan that you can use to get control of your drinking. But first, why exactly should you listen to me? Well, my name is Leon Sylvester. I haven't drank for 5 years after a decade of struggling, and now run a coaching company called SoberClear where we work with business owners and professionals. You can see a picture of one of my clients here with a fake SoberClear tattoo to run a triathlon, and even Jordan Peterson tweeted some of my YouTube content. And the stuff that I'm going to share with you in this video today is stuff that I can guarantee you'll never heard of before, so let's dive into it. Now, firstly, I want you to imagine your mind as a garden. When you were born, it was just a patch of grass filled with seeds. Now, all of us are born with different seeds, depending on the environment that we're born into. Our country, our parents, our town, it all makes a big difference. But as we grow older, these seeds start to grow into plants, into flowers, sometimes into weeds. And each of these different things represents ideas, beliefs, and eventually they make up your identity. But if you actually look into the mind of a drinker, there's something in that garden that stands out. And if you don't solve this first, failure is almost inevitable. See, for people like me who had a drinking problem, there was a seed in my mind that represented alcohol. And this small seed had been there from day one of me being born. And here's where it gets a little bit dark. We know that alcohol companies spend hundreds of millions of dollars on marketing, on advertising, on celebrity endorsements. But these marketing initiatives are actually doing something different. Over the course of years, these things act as soil, as fertilizer, as nutrition, as water, as sunlight. And that little seed in our mind, it starts growing into this small infant tree. And the belief is implanted into your mind that maybe, just maybe, alcohol is worth drinking. And then you do what everybody else does. You take that first drink. But what I didn't tell you is that small infant tree doesn't just feed on soil and fertilizer. It actually feeds on alcohol. And over the course of the next few years, that once seemingly insignificant seed has turned into a ginormous tree in your mind. And whilst healthy people have a garden filled with beautiful flowers and no weeds, the drinker's mind is totally overshadowed by this alcohol tree. And the problem is that the tree's roots run deep. It literally connects into every other area of your life. And this is really the first step. It's recognizing exactly what you're dealing with here and the severity of the issue. See, most people that stop drinking using guilt-based methods or willpower are basically trying to spray weed killer on that tree. And good luck with that. What you need to do differently is acknowledge the tree, accept that it's there, and get to work on removing that crap. The way that you remove it is through education, it's through knowledge, it's through learning about the truth about alcohol. It's through using first principles thinking to break the problem down into its component parts. And you work on that tree until it has been removed by the roots and thrown into a wood chipper. You don't prune it, you don't spray weed killer on it. You focus on it for as long as you need to until it's gone forever. Listen, you must educate yourself on the reality of alcohol. It's our most important weapon against the lies that we've been fed for years. Now, what specific steps can you actually take? Well, you can watch channels just like this one. You can listen to podcasts. You can invest in education, such as books, courses, working with coaches. But most importantly, you need to answer the question, is what I think I know about alcohol really the truth? Once you get to the answer of this, you see alcohol as ethanol, as something that adds nothing to your life. And listen, if you'd rather just hire a team of professionals to get rid of that tree, then please click the link in the description to book a call with my team. We have a system where we literally educate you and totally rewire your worldview on alcohol. And like I said, if you'd like to apply to work with us, just click the link down below to find a time on our calendar, or go to soberclear.com/YouTube. But this is the first step. It's arming yourself with the right knowledge, and it's hacking down this tree and never looking back. Now, Just for a second, we're gonna need to get away from our garden and jump on a plane to Mount Everest. Did you know that on the way to Mount Everest, you actually have to fly from the most dangerous airport in the world where you literally fly off a cliff? Well, Mount Everest actually holds another critical key to stopping drinking and finding it an easy and enjoyable process. So just imagine for a second that you're on your first few days of not drinking alcohol. Now, I want you to imagine climbing Mount Everest represents you going towards the best version of yourself. The life of your dreams literally lies on the path to the peak. Great health, great relationships, financial abundance, impact, happiness, it's all on that path. Now imagine that you arrive at the base camp of Mount Everest and you're with your buddy John. John is also just like you and he's freshly sober. You both look up to the peak. It looks challenging, but it looks incredibly exciting. However, John looks terrified. Over the next few days, you acclimatize and then eventually you set off to the next base camp. Just before you leave, John stares at you in fear. Petrified, John looks to the right and sees a small hole, which is actually an entrance to a cave. And inside the cave, you can both hear other people. It's a dark cave, but there's a very small light. You have a look, and inside the cave, it appears warm, cozy, and safe. And without a word, John leaves you and climbs into the cave. Now, the cave represents the traditional ways of stopping drinking. Inside the cave are therapists, AA meetings, counselors, rehabs. And all of these methods are mostly based on revisiting the past and making stopping drinking the focus of your life. Just like going into a dark cave. And here's the thing, when you decide to climb the peak, the people in the cave will think that you are a lunatic. He's gonna fail. He's got a disease. He's never gonna make it. He needs to come to the cave where it's safe. But what I did 5 years ago is I totally ignored the people in the cave. I went against the grain and did it my own way. I built an incredibly exciting vision for my life and then went towards that instead. I climbed the peak and ignored the cave. And this is something that I've encouraged all my clients in the Sober Clear coaching program to do. People like Adam, who ran the triathlon with the Sober Clear logo. People like Nicholas, who now hasn't drank for 9 months and launched his own business. And people like Colin, who dropped 20 pounds in 19 days. We're all focused on the best version of ourselves. And I know that if you take this path, you have greatness within you. If you're watching this video, I respect you so much because I know that you're different and I know that you can build a life that you love. A life that not just you are proud of, but your family and friends are proud of as well. And if I could offer you one piece of advice, it's to get to work on climbing the mountain. Hack down that tree in your mind and then put all your effort on moving forwards. And please, don't make stopping drinking your biggest achievement. You are meant for so much more. Now, there's one other thing that I wanted to talk to you about today, and it's my late granddad. Now, I can appreciate that this is a very sensitive topic, and it involves him passing away with a terminal illness. So I just wanted to include a disclaimer here, and if you want to turn the video off now, please do. And the reason why I wanted to share this with you is not for a direct comparison, but you will see how it's very similar in terms of emotional processing. Now, my granddad was a driver. In 2010, he was driving a car and fell asleep at the wheel, something that he'd never done before. At first, my nana didn't think anything of it. None of us did. But sadly, we later found out that he had a brain tumor, and a year or so later, he passed away. And that was a really tough year. I was actually the last family member to see him alive, and I can still picture it so clearly. I remember kissing him goodbye, saying that I loved him, and I just remember this stabbing feeling in my chest. And I'll be honest with you, that scene in my head, it still haunts me to this day, and it was a very sad time. But why am I telling you this? Well, this was a tragic loss for our family. We all felt deep sadness. There was deep emotional pain. And whilst the context of the loss of a loved one and stopping drinking are totally different, and losing a loved one is irreplaceable and deeply personal to us all, the emotions felt when stopping drinking, they can be very similar. See, most people that drink alcohol get extremely emotionally attached to it, and we can feel like it's part of our identity. We start to use it as a coping mechanism for stress and anxiety. And over time, we start to see it as something that adds value in our life. So when we try to stop drinking alcohol, we can feel this deep sense of loss, almost like a grief feeling. Listen, this is a total misconception. The only reason why drinkers feel a sense of loss when they try and stop drinking is because they genuinely feel like they've given something up. See, most drinkers actually believe alcohol added value in their life. So of course they feel a sense of loss. Why wouldn't they? But this is just a belief. And for many people, when they remove alcohol from their life, they feel like they're saying goodbye to a long lost friend, someone that's been by their side for years. And we can't do this. This is what we must do instead. Instead of seeing quitting alcohol as a loss, we must see it for what it is, It's an exchange. We literally trade something that did nothing for us for better health, less anxiety, better sleep, more money, and living years longer. We don't give anything up. Instead, we need to see it as one of the most unfair trades that we can make. Quitting alcohol is such a tiny input to get such an insane output. And if you hack that tree down, you climb the mountain, and you stop seeing alcohol as a friend, I know you have the life of your dreams ahead of you. So stick on this path, and if you click the video on the screen now, you can learn what happens in the first 30 days of not drinking alcohol.